So, all right, my good folks, buckle up, because today we're talking about CPTSD and eating disorders. And yes, I know this sounds like something you probably hear in a dimly lit room in a basement somewhere in a nice therapeutic space while they hand out wheatgrass shots and maybe some Earl Grey tea. But no, today we're in a very brightly lit room with a kind of rough-ish style therapist who just kind of keeps it funky, bro. So let's get right into it. That was an awkward introduction, buddy. So let's talk about why food becomes more than just food. What does it become, bro, if it's more than food? It becomes a superpower, but also becomes a kryptonite at the same time. Superman needs a diet. So food on the surface is supposed to be pretty simple. You're hungry, you eat. You move on with your day, and you don't really think about it, right? You're just a woodland creature going about your day, waiting till you get hungry again, and then you eat again. But when you grow up in chaos, chronic stress, unpredictable experiences, your dad punching you in your face, kicking you around, that was me, right? You learn that anything is but normal. Anything is but predictable. And I have a piece of apple stuck in my tooth, so that's a good segue. Let me get that out. Okay. Apples are the worst. They get stuck in your teeth, but they're a lot better than Trader Joe's chocolate where you binge eat the whole candy bar. Don't judge me. I'm just saying. I'm trying to use apples to not binge Trader Joe chocolate. Okay. So again, when you grow up in that chaos, food becomes a flare signal for safety, a coping tool. It's an emotional support pet that you can actually chew. Like, feels so much better. I love Doritos. I love ice cream. And I love doing my finger like this because it freaking seems weird as hell. So unfortunately, for many people with CPTSD, eating disorders is not just about trying to look like the cover of GQ or Sports Illustrated. These are survival strategies shaped by a nervous system that spent a childhood trying to stay alive and just trying to be safe in an environment that was anything but safe. And so in some, your body tries to protect you in any way that it can. Sometimes it looks like binge eating, right? Just so you can feel numb. Sometimes you restrict these calories so you can feel control. Or sometimes you don't eat at all because you need to feel control. And sometimes purging becomes a panic in your chest that feels like a pressure cooker with a really bad fucking attitude. Chill the fuck out, pressure cooker. So we tend to judge these behaviors like they're moral failures, right? Spoiler alert, they're not. They're adaptations. If your childhood looked like a tornado, right? Then your coping strategies, guess what they're gonna look like? You over there. Tornadoes. Yeah, fucking right. They're gonna look windy. They're gonna look like a tornado and like a storm. They're not gonna look neat, normal, proper, or pristine. So now let's talk about the nervous system and the restaurant from hell. Kind of like Gordon Ryan and Hell's Kitchen with a really bad attitude. Although I like Gordon Ryan, but sometimes he could be a little bit of a dick. So let's talk biology. Imagine your nervous system is a restaurant, a kitchen, right? A very tired, understaffed one. The sympathetic system is the frantic line cook who shames the pots around and yells and tells everyone, hey, the food needs to go here, it needs to go there. It's blah, blah, boo. And you're like, dude. And the parasympathetic nervous system is the sleepy dishwasher who's like, I'll just clean those later. I'm going to go take a nap behind the freezer. Meanwhile, it's the middle of the busiest time in the restaurant. Not a good thing. So if your body was raised with constant stress, well, the kitchen, it never really got a chance to break. And when the kitchen is overwhelmed, the appetite, it gets weird, pun intended. So hunger cues, they get ignored. Digestion, it breaks down. Your stomach is like, listen, I'm doing the best I can, but manager is screaming and the burner is on fire. And so please help and stop this madness because I can't run a kitchen like this. And so you might be like, bro, what the freak does a kitchen that's out of control in Hell's Kitchen have to do with an eating disorder? I'm glad you asked. This is why survivors often cannot tell if they're hungry or if they're full. While eating feels scary and out of control. While the body feels like, hey, I'm in a haunted house instead of my house. And why am I locked in the refrigerator eating everything, but there's nothing in here? Oh my God. That's scary. So let's break down the 3 behaviors that make sense, right? So binging is up first. And this is not a lack of discipline. This is your body saying, hey, I'm overwhelmed and I need to relieve myself now. Not relieve yourself and shitting on yourself, but I need to release this tension. It's the nervous system's version of slamming on a big ass red panic button. Boom. And then all of a sudden you feel good for the moment and it works. You're like, that felt great. But then shame, it shows up like this uninvited guest who critiques the shit out of your furniture. And you're like, bro, I'm still trying to pay this shit off. Unless you want to pay for it, you can shut the fuck up. And then up next, we have restricting. Restricting is the illusion of control. If your childhood felt like being tossed around in a dryer, well, restriction can feel like, hey, I just hit the stop button and we're going to hold off for a while. We're not going to dry. We're going to stay wet and slightly a little funky and damp. So control, it becomes safety, even if that safety comes from suffering, which restriction does. It destroys your body. And then we have purging. This is the body trying to discharge unbearable emotional pressure. Not logic, not chosen, a reflex reflex born out of survival. And so you might think, well, these sound like random choices. And I'm like, first of all, chill out. They're not. These are adaptations that are responses created by years of trying to survive trauma. So, hey, Joe, why does shame make everything worse and does nothing helpful ever, but we still have to carry around this shame? Good question. So shame is like that one coworker who does not work for absolute dog shit, but still has an opinion on everything when it comes time to the meeting. And you're like, bro, you judge everything, but you don't do shit. Well, that's shame. It judges you for the behavior, even if it never helped prevent the behavior. That's a little bit confusing. Shame says you should be able to control this. Meanwhile, your nervous system says control was never on the option menu, buddy. It was basically learning how to fucking survive in this chaotic environment. And that's what came first, because that's all your nervous system cares about doing is protecting you. It's keeping you safe. Everything else, well, you got to go to your brain for that. So the beauty of psychoeducation is once you understand biology, the shame starts to lose its grip. You learn that nothing about this is proof that you're a personal fuck up, that you're a personal failure, that you're a failure at all. It's proof that your body worked way too much fucking overtime during your childhood and it never got a chance to clock the fuck out. Can you imagine working 9,000 million hours straight from the time you were 5 to you're 45? Yeah, I'll be tired as fuck too. Hey, big shot. So how does healing actually work? I'm glad you asked. So you don't heal an eating disorder by bullying yourself. You don't heal it by shaming your body. You don't say, I'm too fat. I need an 8-pack. I'm too skinny. No, actually, in fact, many people probably never say they're too skinny. They want to be skinnier. So healing starts with safety first. I'm literally blue in the face saying this because I say this all the time. Safety inside your body and safety in your environment. Without safety, well, the nervous system will keep using this old trauma loop because it thinks you're still in danger. It thinks you're still 5, you're 10, you're 20. Whatever it was that trauma happened, your nervous system, it still thinks it's there. Hey, big bro, so what therapies actually help? Good question. So therapies that help with CPTSD can also help with eating issues too. Somatic work, somatic experiencing, EMDR, internalized family systems, brain spotting, right? Trauma-informed nutrition, learning how to feel your emotions without swallowing them literally in calories. Oh, wow, an Oreo cookie. That was good. Oh, wow, 900 Oreo cookies. Now I feel sick. So the big shift comes when you ask new questions. Hey, why am I doing this? But what's the behavior trying to protect you from? When you meet your need under the pattern, right? Underneath that pattern, the pattern starts to release. And it kind of sheds like, okay, cool. Nervous system regulated. So here's a little gentle reality check. If you struggle with CPTSD, an eating issue, nothing wrong with you. That's just an adaptation of what you had to do in order to deal with a really fucked up, messy situation. That's your body understanding that, hey, we need to do something. Nervous system, let's hold on to this stuff. Let's purge this stuff. Let's restrict this stuff. But your body is not the enemy. It's an overworked employee that just needs a break and that took the job way too serious in order to protect you. And we all know at least one coworker who's just like that. Way overprotective. The best part about it is that healing means teaching that freaking overprotective coworker, relax, nervous system, we're good. So just keep in mind that your relationship with food is not random. It's a story about survival. It's a story about safety. And the good news is that the story, it can change. Guess what? Your brain is plastic. Neuroplasticity, word of the day. I'm not sure why I'm poking my mole, but you guys get it. It's not by force. It's by understanding, not by punishing yourself, but giving your body the safety that it needed to have in the first place. You deserve a relationship with food that feels peaceful. You deserve a body that feels like home, and you deserve healing that honors everything that you survive and not beating yourself up for it. So if this helps, stick around, comment, like, subscribe, and let's be real humans, man, because that's what we are. We're just real humans. Yep. Real as they come, bro.